going on, YouTube? We're back. Finally starting to feel better. Been sick for about a week and a half, but we're here. We're ready to go. UFC 312 is going down tomorrow night in Australia for Dricus Du Plessis versus Sean Strickland in the rematch. That fight's going to have a lot to talk about. There's going to be a lot going on in that, so we'll get to it very last. But first, we're going to break down the main card and a couple of other fights that I think might steal the show, but if not, we'll definitely steal some performance bonuses. First up, in the featured bout for the early prelims, we've got Kody Steele versus Rhongzu. That's it, Rhongzu. No first, last, middle name, just Rhongzu. You know, plenty of experience from him. He's 25-6. He is coming off of a loss. Kody Steele, only 7-0, coming off of his debut win. With so many accolades that Kody Steele has in so few fights, it's crazy to see him being the favorite here. You know, Rhongzu's a plus 225 underdog. But somebody that only has 7 fights is insane, but also speaks to the accolades that Kody Steele has. A lot of success over at ADCC. He trains over at Syndicate MMA. He's got guys pulling out on him day of at the Contender Series. You know, nobody wants to fight this guy. But besides that, the fact of the matter is that I think Kody Steele is a guy that the UFC is trying to build, and I think that he has everything to build a star. He's got the explosiveness, he's got the striking, he's got the power, he's got the jiu-jitsu, he's got the wrestling, and he's got the look. So I'm going to say here that Kody Steele takes this fight in dominant fashion, not based on just those things, but his outside accolades before getting into MMA. Rhongzu coming off a loss, another explosive fighter. I've seen him fight a few times. He is good. He's not bad. But I'm interested to see if he's going to get overwhelmed from the hype coming in from Kody Steele. Kody Steele comes in there like he is a vet of the sport, like he's not 7-0, because of all the training and all of the experience he has in competition outside of the UFC. So, interested in this fight, I think Kody Steele takes it. Jake Matthews versus Francisco Prado. I believe Prado is coming up from lightweight up to welterweight. He looked jacked at weigh-in. Absolutely filled out into his new frame. I'm excited for this fight. I know Prado is the underdog. He is coming off of a loss. Jake Matthews is a savage. He will fight anybody. He's always going for wars. I'm going to go with Jake Matthews on this one. He's got the experience. He's got a few inches to reach, and he's already been at welterweight. This is going to be another really exciting fight to open up the main card, and I think a star could definitely be born with a good knockout up finish. Up, we have Jimmy Crute versus Rodolfo Bellato. I feel like it's been a while since I've seen Jimmy Crute in the octagon, but we're back home in Australia, so of course we're going to put him on the card. He comes to fight. He's a gamer. He's here to scrap. He doesn't care who it's with. You know, he's taking his losses. He's coming off a loss right now. And then we've got Rodolfo Bellato. I've only seen him fight once, and it was a brutal finish if that was his last fight that I saw. But he is capable of dominant performances, capable of explosive finishes. I haven't seen him fight too much, but I am going to go with the favorite Bellato. Next up, we have Justin Tafa versus Talison Teixeira. Teixeira is making his debut, and obviously we already know the Tafa brothers. If one pulls out, the other one's going to step in their place last minute and take the fight. Justin Tafa is a banger. He's here to scrap. He's either knock you out or get knocked out. He really doesn't care. So I'm excited for this fight. I don't know who's going to win because I don't really know Teixeira, but I'm going to go with Tafa. I got experience watching Tafa. I know Tafa is coming out to put your lights out or get put out. So that's going to be an exciting fight either way. But due to lack of knowledge on him, I'm going to go with Tafa. Now, the two fights that I'm excited for the most, the co-main and the main event. Let's get into the co-main first. We have the challenger, Tatiana Suarez, fighting the champ, Zhang Weili. This fight can go in so many directions. My heart, I want Tatiana Suarez to win. The story is incredible. The amount of injuries that she sustained and come back from, it reminds me of Dominic Cruz when he was really entering his GOAT status at 135 pounds. You just love to see somebody that's gone through what Tatiana Suarez has gone through, persevere over and over and over again. There hasn't been anything that has gotten in her way and made her quit the sport or get down and, stop fighting. As soon as she is able to be back in the gym and back to fighting, she is, and there's never a doubt. I think Tatiana Suarez has the wrestling ability to dominate this fight from bell to bell. But I will say, I haven't seen the improvement in her striking that I would like to see, and she doesn't fight that often. So the bright side to that, as many fans have said, why is she getting this fight? She fights about once a year. Honestly, I think she's only fought once in 2024, if that. But I think it's multiple things. I think it's one, the UFC knows we have this possible star in the making, and she's been this star in the making since she was on The Ultimate Fighter with her dominant finishes. But she's getting older, as we all are. So she needs to get pushed towards that title shot. If she's ever going to be the champ, she needs to get the title shot. If her neck injuries are going to keep her out, as soon as you can, get her up there for the title. It's not like she doesn't have the accolades or the skill set to be up there fighting the best of the best. She's undefeated. She's 11-0. She's fighting whoever they put in front of her, and she's winning. So here's my thought on it. maybe she doesn't, quote unquote, deserve the title shot right now. Maybe she does need to be a little bit more active. But in her defense, the champ Zhang Weili isn't a super active fighter either. So the argument can be made on both sides. But as I was saying about the striking, it's a double-edged sword. I haven't seen the improvement in the striking that I want to see. But when you have all this time off in between fights, it is so much easier to make these improvements. So it's very possible that from her last fight to now, her striking has evolved rapidly, especially dating somebody like Patchy Mix, who's one of the best bantamweights in the world, even though nobody's seen him in the UFC yet. Definitely possible. I would love to see him in the UFC. But being around him 24/7 and already being such a dominant wrestler and grappler, you can only improve. You know, Patchy Mix can strike, he can wrestle, he can grapple. So there's no way that he's around her 24/7 and not saying, hey, let's get working on your striking. You're already the best wrestler in your division. You're already one of the best grapplers in your division. Tatiana has the size advantage on Weili. She's an inch taller. She's got 2 or 3 inches of reach advantage on her. It's going to be really exciting if she does come out and have such a huge performance and a huge improvement in her striking and is able to implement that on top of dominating the wrestling, dominating the grappling. Personally, I would love to see her take the belt. I don't care if she becomes the most dominant champion ever. What she's gone through, that belt wrapped around her waist, would just be a phenomenal fairy tale ending to this title run that she's had. And that's what it's felt like ever since she was on The Ultimate Fighter. It didn't feel like she was fighting for a contract. It felt like she was fighting towards the title. And being inactive, it won't be as big of a problem when she is the champ because we already have a champion that is like that. Speaking of the champion, on the other end, you have one of the most exciting fighters in this division, maybe ever. Her wars with Joanna, her fights with Thug Rose. It's going to be interesting to see how Zhang Weili comes out because she is also a student of the game. She is always looking to improve. She trained under Henry Cejudo. She's gotten that high-level training. She loves improving her game. She loves getting in exciting fights. She loves dominating fights. I am interested to see if she decides to stick behind her jab, use her low kicks, and really pick Tatiana apart. Because if Tatiana hasn't made any improvements in her striking, that jab and those low kicks really could nullify her wrestling. I'm interested to see if that's how she plans on coming out to fight this fight. I'm interested to see how she'll do in the wrestling exchanges with Tatiana Suarez. If she can start landing early, even if she doesn't butcher Tatiana's legs, I could see her doing well in the wrestling scrambles due to Tatiana shooting when she's hurt or shooting out of desperation. It's going to be a really interesting fight. It's a striker versus grappler matchup as of now, but anything's possible in this game. Tatiana could come out and look like a brand new fighter. She could come out and look like she did in her last few fights and just be a pure wrestler. I'm interested for the fight. I think it can go either way. I'm going to ride with Tatiana Suarez. I've been a big fan. Funny enough, you know, when I was on The Ultimate Fighter, I think she commented on like a Facebook post of mine. Like she liked one of the fights and my dad liked it and like messaged her and said, thank you. He's an old man. So my dad's a Tatiana Suarez fan. So the Giannetti household's riding with Tatiana. Hopefully and new. But I love Zhang Weili as well. It'll be an exciting fight either way. I can't wait. In probably one of the oddest main events that I have ever done a breakdown for, we have Dricus Du Plessis versus Sean Strickland 2. This fight is another one that can go any which way, especially after you watch their first fight. Odds are either way it's going to be violent. There's going to be blood. But, man, I think everybody's kind of getting on this train with Dricus Du Plessis. He just wins. It's not pretty. It's not smooth. It's not technical. He's got the dog in him. He's got the cardio. He's got heart. He's in there to win. He's going to put it all on the line. He's going to do whatever it takes to get his hand raised, even if it means taking a beating from Israel Adesanya for 4 or even 4.5 rounds. He is going to get his hand raised, and that is something that you can't teach. There's plenty that Dricus could probably learn, but you can't teach that heart. And it's funny, you see him at these press conferences and doing interviews, and he comes off so cocky and all these things. It's almost like he knows he's gonna win. And it's not like some of these other guys that are like, I'm the best wrestler, I'm the best striker, I'm gonna knock you out. It's just a vague, general belief he is going to win. He doesn't know why, he doesn't know how, nor does he care. But he knows at the end of this fight, his hand is getting raised. Now, I personally thought Strickland won their first fight. Razor close decision. I would hate to be a judge for that fight. I did think Sean Strickland won it. Do I think that Strickland deserves this rematch so quickly? No. I think there's Hamza. I think there was Whitaker. I think there was plenty of guys that should have gotten their shot. But this is what we're working with. Sean Strickland, I haven't seen him really been changing as a fighter. We're going to use a lot of jabs. We're going to use a lot of teeps. And every once in a while, he comes out and he's throwing punches and bunches, you know? You see his fights versus Imavov. You see him knocking out certain guys when he decides to put his foot on the gas and just throw combos at a time, ending with low kicks, starting with front teeps, ending with punches. But the average majority Sean Strickland is front teeps and jabs and pressuring forward. It's going to be an unstoppable force versus an immovable object, and I'm excited for it. You know, we have the Dricus Du Plessis hip headbutt that came last time, head clash that cuts Sean Strickland open, and then we're just throwing windmill punches from Du Plessis, and all caution to the wind from Sean Strickland. I think the fight could be very similar. I could see Strickland coming out and throwing his jabs and teeps out the gate. I know Strickland is like a plus 180 underdog. I'm going to go with Du Plessis. Hear me out. This is going to make sense. I promise. I've never looked at a Dricus Du Plessis fight and thought he was going to win. And he wins. I currently believe that he wins this fight, which is probably why he's going to lose. The whole world seems to finally be on the Du Plessis train. Love him or hate him, he gets the job done and he wins. But now, because of that, I feel like it would just be the MMA gods doing what they do to have Sean Strickland get a brutal knockout or drop him and submit him. But I'm still going to stick with my decision that I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know why. But I think Dricus Du Plessis keeps his title this weekend. And I think he fights Khamzat next. And that fight, I have no idea how that goes. That'll be a whole nother video that'll have to go for about a half an hour to figure out. But and new in the co-main event and still in the main event. And that is your UFC 312 breakdown. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you guys for the recap Monday morning.